Ho, 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 and welcome to PEG RITV, the Ernest Faison Show. As you can see, I have the Salvation Army and two of their warriors, the Major Carol and Roger Dupree, state coordinators for the Salvation Army. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's our pleasure.
Well, you know, you tell Major Tom to ground control. That's a little personal joke there.
Yes.
That I appreciate him actually referring you guys to actually what we do. Why don't you just give us just a little bit of information as far as your mission statement, as far as what you guys want to do, because I told you in the green room I would give you the opportunity to articulate that, namely the 3,000 families. So the floor is yours, Roger.
Now, we're in the midst of the fight right now, if you will. Tomorrow, we have close to 3,000 families coming to the Salvation Army throughout the weekend to get help with their Thanksgiving meal. People that couldn't afford to put a meal on the table any other way, they're coming, and the Salvation Army is providing them with all the food, with all the side dishes, and with the turkey that goes with it, and in order to make their Thanksgiving Day a successful day, because we always have something to give thanks for. It's
absolutely every day.
But in tough times, we still need to learn to say thank you, and so we're helping people to do that with these meals we're passing out, and we go right from there into the boiling pot of the Christmas season, and that's a heavy time for us.
Well, you knew. That's why. I mean, I was like, well, here we are coming around Christmas time. Who better to have than the world famous Salvation Army? I'm honored and humbled, really, to be quite frank with you.
Well, we are grateful for this opportunity. You know, my wife over the last few weeks has been signing people up for the Christmas holidays, and this year, if last year is any indicator, and it looks like it may be, we will have more than 10,000 children come to us that are in need of Christmas toys. We'll have multiple families, thousands of families coming to us that need help with food during the holidays.
Right.
And that's something special we do at this time of the year, because our work, when Christmas is over, goes on, and through the year, we help thousands of people with food and really with any kind of disaster that happens in their lives.
This is not a fad. This is the lifestyle.
That is the lifestyle.
I want people to know that.
That's right.
Really.
We consider ourselves to be the safety net for the communities, for the state of Rhode Island, if you will. You know what a safety net is. You're walking on a tightrope, and if you fall one way or the other, someone has to be there to catch you, and there's a lot of people falling these days, and sometimes that fall is in the area of not having enough rent to pay. Sometimes that fall is in the area of not being able to keep their lights turned on or utilities paid. Sometimes that fall has to do with them not having clothing to put on their back, or furniture. Once they've been burned out of a house, they need furniture to replenish it with anything that is an emergency, and we can possibly help them with it. We will do that.
That's right. I like that. And speaking of help, I want to help you. You are watching, like the way I did that, PEG RITV, the Ernest Faison Show. I have the state coordinators of the Salvation Army, Carol and Roger Dupree. They're explaining what their mission statement is. They're going to feed 3,000 families. They're going to give 10,000 kids toys. And then you told me about the projection, the path of hope. Now, Carol, you're on. I told you I'd give you a moment.
All right. Well, the Pathway of Hope is a national program that the Salvation Army's implemented to fight generational poverty. So in Rhode Island, we have implemented it so far in the Newport Salvation Army, Newport area, but we're looking to raise funds and to be able to implement it at the Providence and Pawtucket Salvation Armies. But it's for the whole state. It's a program where to be eligible, you have to have a child 18 or younger. You have to be someone who realizes that they're stuck in a cycle of poverty, and they need help. They need help out of that. and the program will be where a caseworker and a team will come alongside. It's usually mothers, but often, sometimes we get fathers too, come alongside the family, and will just help them see what the obstacles are that's keeping them.
And what town is that in right now?
Right now, it's just begun in Newport. Well, it was beginning at the beginning of 2020, but then COVID hit, and it's really a relational program where the person comes in and sits with the caseworker, and they work through so many obstacles. So it kind of got delayed, so it's just getting back. Up
And when do you see this program actually coming into Providence, Warwick, Central Falls, whatever, Lincoln?
We see it coming in 2022. We're hopeful for the spring, but again, it depends on the funding that we have.
And you guys are a nonprofit, 501c3. I did want to
Exactly.
bring that up.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. And it's not a very expensive program. It's just, we have to have part-time caseworkers at the 2 sites. And that's basically it, because we're not trying to give people funding. We're trying to help them if they need to finish college, help facilitate that.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
If they need jobs, help, just help them with childcare, whatever they need to navigate to get over the obstacles so they can provide for themselves and move ahead in life. And
We saw an individual in one of these programs who was a nurse, actually was licensed as a nurse, and yet had fallen on hard times and couldn't afford the gear, the
clothing?
that was
Uniform.
needed to move ahead. And that was one of the obstacles we helped her overcome, getting proper clothing, the uniform wear for it. And so there's any number of things that block people's passage to independence and freedom in their living. And that's what we're all about, is making life better for people.
Well, like you say, doing the most good.
Doing the most
Yeah.
good, that's
I
right.
like that. I like that mission statement, that slogan right there. Let me go back to a few things. So, correct me if I'm wrong. The Salvation Army was formed in London in 1865. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So.
At the time, it was known as the East London Christian Mission. The founder of the Salvation Army was a Methodist minister, and we remain a church to this day, as well as a human services organization, with our belief structure very much like the United Methodist Church. That's who we were born out of. And William Booth was the founder's name. He was in the midst of the Industrial Revolution, and he was so troubled by the things he would see on the streets, children being forced to work ridiculously long hours along with their parents for little or no pay, and in horrific conditions, and then people giving up on that, and men drunk on the streets, and children without a place to lay their head at night. And he said, I can't do this. I can't do this ministry in the traditional way anymore. I have to be more on the streets with these people and have to be able to make a difference in their lives.
Boots on the ground
That's right.
type thing.
Yeah.
And Catherine Booth, she was the Army mother.
She was.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. She was.
You want to speak on that?
Yeah, sure. She
Carol?
really founded the Salvation Army along with her husband. She provided him a lot of support, not just prayer support, but in ministry, where she would also preach alongside him, and also just help, like many wives do, give feedback and structure, and come
And it was even
alongside.
more than that. She was really in many ways, the brains of the organization. He was a charismatic character. That
Kind of like you two, right?
That's very
Thank
true.
you. That was,
You like
quite-
that?
Very true.
Little
Yeah.
segue, lighting everything
that's
up.
quite
there.
the compliment.
And she will admit to this. I've been telling people all my life. We work together, and this is the way we've worked it out. She does all the work,
This isn't
and
true,
I take
though.
all the credit.
That's not true.
That's just like we were saying, we're going to get this thing moving. And I said, being from Philly, if you feel free if you want to break dance. You said, yeah, the only thing we're going to be breaking is maybe
A few bones.
a few bones. Yeah, if you can't have fun, you don't need to be doing it. But in all seriousness, I have so much love for what you guys are doing. You're doing the most good, and you're giving us some history on what this was all about. How did the Booths bring this over to the continental USA?
You know, in 1880, Booth was seeing such great success around England and the other places in Europe that he had spread out to. And he felt the
Nice.
call to move it over. And the call, quite frankly, came from a young 15-year-old girl who had been in England and had been associated with the Salvation Army there. And she came to Philadelphia, believe it or not. And
Back to the Philly thing, huh?
and in Philadelphia, she wanted to start the Salvation Army, and she continued to write the general, and she said, I'm doing everything I can myself, but I need more help. And in 1880, he sent more help over. He sent an officer by the name of Commissioner George Scott Railton, along with 7 young women. They referred to them as his Hallelujah Lassies.
Oh,
And
that's
probably not too
interesting.
appropriate today, but that's the history of it.
My, how things have changed.
Yeah, they sure
Yeah.
have.
Let me take this moment. You are watching PEG RITV. For those of you who have just now tuned in under the sound of my voice, I have some wonderful guests. I have Carol and Roger Dupree with the Salvation Army. Those of you who want to give, we know this is the time to give. So we just want to invite you in case you missed anything. Continue.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that. It is a time of giving here and in today's world, today's society in the United States. At this time of the year, these Salvation Army kettles dot the landscape. They're part of the Christmas landscape. Started back in 1893, actually, in San Francisco. An officer by the name of Captain Joseph McPhee wanted to do a special meal at on Christmas Day for people who he was working with, destitute people he was serving, and he didn't have enough funds to do it with, and so he put a soup pot out on the street, and he said, help me keep the kettle boiling here, and
Wow.
people began to give to it. And it wasn't long before that approach caught fire across the United States.
So this is the segue on how this all became a reality?
That became a reality, and this year in the state of Rhode Island, we hope to raise $225,000. That's a whole lot of nickels, dimes, and quarters that go in there. But we appreciate when people put
Yeah.
cash in there as well.
And one of my bucket list things, I've always wanted to do this.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm ringing the bell with the majors, so I feel like I've arrived. So that's one thing I can cross off of my bucket list.
Oh, thank you.
And I give as well. So, you know, I
Thank
put my money where my ring is, so to speak, you know.
Thank you.
My
That's
wife
wonderful.
brought the light ringing bell inside here tonight. We have some very loud ones too that we would
Yeah,
Yeah.
for outside.
for outside, but we try to be.
Have you been getting
conscious of
enough people at Shaw's and Dave's and all these different places? Because I was told that there's a shortage. There is a labor shortage, first of all. Is there a shortage of people ringing bells and things like that?
Absolutely.
I noticed this a couple years ago,
We
too.
need volunteers.
Yeah, we can never
Volunteers.
find enough volunteers to staff these kettles. That $225,000 could probably raise $500,000 if we could staff every site we have.
Absolutely.
Every day of the season. So anyone out there who would like to volunteer for us, please contact your local nearest Salvation Army, and I know that they'll put you to work doing that.
So last time I did this show, there were 1.5 million members. What's that about now? Has that grown up or has that gone down?
The numbers are still coming in around the same. Given the pandemic, we saw a little bit of a hit, and then it's picking up again. So it's sort of balanced itself out once again, and we're still about at the same 1.5 million members. But that only tells part of the tale with the Salvation Army, to be honest with you. So we have so many volunteers and so many people that come to help us. Every community in the state of Rhode Island, we have an advisory board, local people who volunteer to
That's
help
wonderful.
give direction to what we're doing. They're all part of it. You know, a few years back,
a long
dating
time
myself,
now.
back in the early 1980s, we were training with the Salvation Army in New York City, and I happened to go to the Salvation Army's kickoff dinner in Manhattan, and Mayor Ed Koch was the mayor of New York City
Mayor
at
Ed
the time.
Koch.
And he got up to say a
He
few
was something else, wasn't he?
He was something else. He got up and said, I need to say a few words here. He said, and I want to tell you, I just renewed my membership in the Salvation Army. He said, yeah, I went by the kettle at Macy's on 34th Street, and I put in a donation, and it's like I renewed my membership.
That leads me to Holly and my buddy Rick, who I'm feeling bittersweet, the maestro, and they say, what we don't have here is a failure to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah, and that's truly what the Salvation Army is. We're made up of so many people. There's people that walk by the kettle and put their donation in.
Donate.
We feel like they're a member of it. They've renewed their membership. People who donate clothes to the our thrift operations that's run out of our Pittman Street office. We feel like they're part of us. They're a member of our organization.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. And now we feel like you're a member
Oh,
of our
absolutely.
organization.
Matter of fact,
question.
that's a perfect segue because I go to the one on Pittman Street. I frequent that one. And I tell the story to Major Tom that one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Sure.
I was telling you this story in the green room. So I'm thumbing through the suits, and what do I see? A Giorgio Armani suit. Now, for those who know, I used to model and all this stuff. For those who know, those suits start at $1,000.
Wow.
And I grabbed it for like $25. So I said, I have arrived. You know, I feel good
You're
about that.
you're a
But,
top shopper.
Yeah. You can get some of everything there.
We
And
see
it's a
all
beautiful thing.
We do see all kinds of things come through. You walk by
And you can't get these things anymore
Yeah.
because they discontinue making these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we're so glad the funds from the thrift stores supports our rehabilitation center.
Right.
when
Which-
my wife wants a Coach purse, I say, please go look at the thrift store first.
Oh,
haven't
Coach?
found one
Yeah,
yet.
Coach.
I'm
Yeah,
not-
Louis Vuitton and all this stuff here. Yeah.
I don't
get
aspire
it.
to that.
That's very interesting. So I want to get a little more serious now because I know that your mission statement is doing the most good. But, you know, in this day and time with a lot of confusion and everything like that, a lot of people don't realize that the Salvation Army, they do believe in Jesus Christ. It's not about Methodist or Lutheran. Can you speak to that?
I'd be more than happy to speak to that. Our commitment is to Jesus Christ. I think in essence what the Salvation Army is about is we as a people believe that God has been so very, very good to us. And all of the service that we provide is us reaching out, trying to say thank you, Lord. We appreciate what you've done in our lives, the way you've transformed us as people, and we want to make that offer. We want to make it possible for people to hear that message and embrace it themselves.
This is huge what you're saying because people don't realize what this is all about, and that is the backbone, what
It
you
is.
just articulated,
It is. It's prime to our services.
the core.
We, some people come to us and they have that part of their lives right. They love the Lord and they want to serve Him fully, and they come to us because they're hurting and don't have enough bread on their table. And so we give them bread on their table, and we say, God bless you, go on and do your thing. But when people come to us and that part of their life, that spiritual part of their life is missing, we want to be able to offer them that as much as we offer them a loaf of bread, more than we offer them a loaf of bread, and say, here, this is what we believe can really transform your
Right.
life. The bread we can give you will fill you up for a day, but
That's what I was just going to say, like that Giorgio Armani suit, that's going to come and go, but salvation is forever,
yeah.
And
as it were.
it's never a requirement, to receive services from the Salvation Army, that you believe the way that we believe in our church part of the Salvation Army, but we want to be quick if someone wants prayer, if someone is looking for a church home, we want to be quick to offer that, but it's not anything we force on people.
You don't turn anyone away,
Right.
is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, we don't discriminate.
That's
You're-
a beautiful thing.
your beliefs, whatever they are, you're welcome to receive our services.
So I see that you both are majors. Can you please explain to my people on the sound of my voice the hierarchy as far as, major, lieutenant? I know that the general, as was told to
He's
me
the
by
international.
Major Schutz at that time, and Major Thomas.
Well, it's
Can you give us just a brief little synopsis as far as what that means?
Yeah, we only have one general at a time in the Salvation Army world. That's the international leader of the Salvation Army, is the general.
Is he paid a salary,
He's paid a stipend,
stipend, or whatever word I want to use here?
Well, they call it an allowance, but
Allowance.
it
You
all
got to be
works
careful
out
with these
to-
words because that can go south really quick.
Yeah, but yes, I mean, we are paid, Salvation Army,
Yeah, well, you got to make a
Staff.
living,
not paid as well as some, but but paid.
but your mission is you're
yeah,
going to
that-
get paid eternally.
That is,
How about that?
And we knew it, we came into this eyes wide open, knowing what we were doing, and appreciate that. But structurally, the Salvation Army is based really on a British military system, born in London, England, so you can imagine
Right.
that.
Okay.
We have one general in the world. Some of the large leaders of larger territories, like in the United States, there are 4 territories that make up the United States. Essentially, there are 4 separate
Corporations.
Excuse me. That's a senior moment there. Don't get those.
It
4,
is what it is,
4,
I've
but
had-
there's 4
That's why
corporate.
we got something called editing.
Yeah, that's right. Four separate corporations in the United States, and each of those leaders would be a commissioner. Is their title, and then from there you go down to colonel and lieutenant colonel and major, and captain and lieutenant. And you really, when you start out in the Salvation Army, after you serve as 2 years as a cadet in the training school of the Salvation Army, you then become a lieutenant. And
Is a
you work your
degree,
way
some
up.
type of degree required? College degree?
Well,
There's college that's required, and
you get an associate's
Certain level
degree
of
when
work.
you're commissioned, when you graduate from the school, you've earned an associate's degree, but the Salvation Army strongly wants every officer to have a bachelor's degree at minimum.
Okay.
And they
That's
will
interesting.
help facilitate that.
and many of them, I mean, we have many highly educated
Yeah,
people,
people.
and people that are
People come in already with degrees.
Right.
Yeah.
So I understand that the Salvation Army is in over 128 countries.
yeah, it's 131 now, I
Yeah.
believe. So
So I did the
Over.
first
You
show.
said over, yeah.
Yeah, I did say over, didn't I? I
Good
covered
job. You had that
myself.
right.
I was taught
You're
well.
absolutely right.
I was taught well because I float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. I got my buddy Rick. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching PEG RITV, the Ernest Faison Show. I have these wonderful people who are doing the Salvation Army, doing the most for good, but I'm feeling some kind of way, and I just want to say that all that you've seen me over these last 3 years, I have the Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Rick Dorman. He will no longer be with me. He's gone to seek greener pastures, and I can't say that I blame him because he's all about upwardly mobility. And I just wanted to take this moment right now just to thank him on the air for making me look good and, shooting the jokes and keeping everything light. Because I could not have done it without him. And he would tell me, he's the only man that I know that can tell me, that you just sit there and look pretty. That's all. So I have to do the joke. I got my credit card, so I won today, Holly. For you and Rick. But that was just a light moment. I love the man. The man is a gentleman and a scholar. I will miss him, but we will catch some Bruin game or 24/7 soul or something. We will continue this thing going. I love the man. I just wanted to say that. Now, back to the Salvation. No, I had to get that off my chest.
I'm glad you did.
Don't want to see a grown man cry up here. Especially a big grown bald-headed man cry up here. Probably wouldn't be pretty like you breakdancing.
yeah, that certainly would not be pretty.
Yeah. So we did get the meat of the conversation out. We did talk about the 225,000 dollars that we wanted to raise. We talked about the 3,000 families that we wanted to feed. The 10K as far as the toys and everything, the projection, the pathway of hope. We spoke about 1865, where you guys started from. We talked about the hierarchy. We talked about Major Tom to ground control and all that good stuff. Philadelphia freedom and just the love of what you guys do. I make joke because the time is winding down. I'm trying to get all this in. I'm bobbing and weaving here. But I really appreciate you for coming on. Keep on doing what you're doing. I feel like I've arrived because I have rang the bell.
You did it well as well.
You know what? I'm trying to stay humble. Carol, in 140 characters or less, please, with your parting shot.
Well, I'd like to share that the Salvation Army's theme this Christmas season is Hope Marches On, and we would like those who are listening to know that all the good that they've helped us do with their support will continue. The Salvation Army's continuing on our march to bring hope to people.
Roger, what you got?
A former international leader of the Salvation Army, a general, if you will, said this one time of the Army. He said, the lifeblood of the Salvation Army runs through the tragedies of this world. And we are here because we want to provide lifeblood to people who are in need. And so we can only do that in partnership with the people in the world around us, people in the community around us.
I'm loving what you're saying,
We're
man.
so grateful for all the support we receive, and we're grateful for this time we could share with you.
Well, I mean, it's just all about the Salvation Army. It's not about Ernest. You know what I mean? I just ask a question and get out of the way, you know, and hopefully I don't muffle it up because it is a powerful organization. It's all about soul winning. It's all about treatment, housing, education, Giorgio Armani suits, all there is. So I thank you so much for being on the show. I love my brother Rick. Rick, it's been a blast. It's been a fun ride, man. We'll keep on surfing on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun, but we've got to run. I've got the Salvation Army. I got my bucket list. I'm ringing it. Please support the Salvation Army. God bless you until the next time. Thank you. We out.
Bling, 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 bling. He's a Rastaman doing his thing. You see, he got bling, 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 bling. Hey, Lottie man. Some people have to hold a diamond ring. Driving around with spinning rims. Walking down the street in fancy things. But we really don't know anything. They just got bling.